What's going on, guys? siimssyy here, and today I'm telling you now, I've made the greatest possible Warzone map. That I'm not being funny, but I've just been and watched Jack Fragg's video about the state of COD, how it's gone downhill, what we used to have, what we've got now. Very good video. Check that out if you haven't done so already. It's definitely popped off for him. It's done very well, that video, but it's a good watch and it's a good video, so I'd recommend that. But it kind of in line with what I was talking about in my previous video with the state of the maps. I wanted to design a map. Now, I wanted to design. Clearly, it's not like a full-on design. I've just taken bits and edited it onto a picture, which you'll see. But we're going to go through it because a lot of what he was talking about in the sense of nostalgia and things like that, and I've read the comments on my maps video, and everybody's still talking about how much they still love Blackout, and Blackout was amazing, and as an actual game and concept. And we're all talking about, and I've talked about, the fact that I personally think that if they put some effort into Blackout now and remastered it literally as it was, didn't change a single thing except a few tiny little details, i.e. that game was not technically free to play. Technically, you had to have bought Black Ops 6 and it was Black Ops 4, sorry, and it was part of Black Ops 4. However, I will make the argument that if you're playing the current iteration of Warzone at any non-casual level, most people have bought Black Ops 6 to level up guns, so realistically it's still not really free to play, is it? We say the same thing each year. For some reason they just continue to tie Warzone into multiplayer and zombies and all that stuff, and it just shouldn't. That should be COD, this should be Warzone. It doesn't have to be directly tied. That's a big issue. Obviously, one of the greatest things about Blackout is you didn't have to rank up any guns. You pick attachments up on the floor like a traditional BR, not this TDM resurgence mashup crap that we have for a BR now with Warzone. I digress. With Blackout, I think personally, if they were to remaster that game, make it an actual free-to-play game with crossplay, but with an actual anti-cheat, not Ricochet, an actual anti-cheat that prevents there being any forms of cheat, just like Valorant's got with the Vanguard anti-cheat. That's what we should have. On that, it would do infinitely better as long as you could buy teammates back, because that was like a downside of Blackout. You couldn't buy teammates back. Once you were dead, you were dead. But that would do amazing. However, I also want to side note the success of COD Mobile. COD Mobile is massive. It just floors Warzone in every single level. It's amazing. And it's solely based on nostalgia. You can play on all the old maps. You can use all the old guns from each COD. Like, none of this bullshit copyright crap. I bought a skin on this game, so I have to keep my gun and blueprint. Like, that's all bollocks. I'm sorry, but I never used to sit there and think when I played Black Ops 3 or whatever, if I bought a skin, that next year I know full well they're bringing out another game. I should not have that skin in that game. Just get over it. Absolute snowflakes. I don't understand this society nowadays. Anyway, I've taken the Blackout map and I have improved it with every single thing that we've had from Warzone. So what I want to do first of all is I want to load up the original Blackout map, and I want you to look at the original Blackout map, how it was before, so we can look at this together and know exactly what it looked like before you see my changes. So if I take my face cam off here, you don't need to see my mug anymore. Go to display capture. Boom. This is the Blackout map, the original. Okay, this is how it looks. At the very top we had estates, which is raid. We had a couple of little small buildings that nobody really went to be honest, unless the zone happened to drag out there. We had the construction site, which was basically essentially the construction site that we've got in Urzikstan now. It looks very similar, except most of the layers of the building you could go through. Hijacked, which was the original multiplayer map, which kind of, I guess in a way, is similar to how there's the boat and Resurgence, but obviously that one is based on a multiplayer map. The Nuketown map, which is a whole island, Nuketown Island. Cargo docks kind of play similarly, I guess, in a way to what we've got in Urzikstan, but the one in Urzikstan is crap in comparison. Lighthouse. It's a lighthouse. Factory, fracking tower, firing range, Amazing drop. All the like, that's essentially the superstore of Blackout. If you want to compare it to Verdansk, if you didn't play Blackout. Train Station, Asylum, which is literally the Asylum multiplayer map from World at War, which eventually got turned into a zombies map. Hydra Dam, Turbine, which I think was based on Terminal from memory, but I could be wrong. Ghost Town was also a zombies map as well. So that's the map just here. That's the map as it was. Now, if you look at the map, much like in every single Warzone map, we've had a lot of dead space. In Blackout, it felt more bearable. There was no dynamic aim assist in Blackout. It was pure gun skill and pure talent. And there wasn't all the gimmicky movement mechanics that we've got now. It was obviously still like kind of bunny sliding or bunny hopping or whatever you want to call it. But it had a skill gap and it was good. That still means there is a lot of dead space. And there's a couple of little areas like this where there was just dotted little buildings to fill up the space. And I filled those spaces with... I'm looking at my camera that's not on. I filled my spaces with this. This is what we're working with. I want you to imagine loading in to this map. Still Blackout. Still looks like Blackout. But we add these fan favorites, I want to say. Or my favorites, I would say, really. POIs from other maps and putting them into this map to give us an overall god map. So, let me walk you through it. There is these little buildings. I do need to kind of... let's imagine that this is shrunk a little bit, because my drop was right here. There was a campsite just here, and I've half covered the campsite. It's like here. That's not meant to be covered. That's just because my editing is shit. So let's just shrink that down a tiny bit. This is Superstore. Has to be mid-map. Has to be. So I'm going to stick it just to the side, just above firing range. There's a couple of little buildings here. They can be on the outside of the Superstore. Kind of play like the burger bar, if you want to call it that. That was next to on the left. There was a buy station just on the left of the Superstore over here, with a little burger bar. I guess that could play as those buildings. But we put the Superstore just above the firing range and to the left a bit, below the campsite. My swamp. You there? You know the one. If you've been here and you're an OG and you remember you there, then and you're a Shrek fan, let me know in the comments. But there, we got Superstore bang in the middle. Imagine you've got firing range and you've got Super bang in the middle of the map. Unbelievable scenes. We still got construction site up to the left. We still got hijack. I've kept every single like main POI from Blackout. All of them are still in, okay? So we're keeping that and we're working with what we've got. Keeping estates in. Raid, one of the most played multiplayer maps of all time. An amazing competitive map. Any CDL fans, I'm sure you've watched a lot of competitive COD on that. To the side of that and above construction site where this dead space was, where I said there's a couple of little random buildings that you never really went to unless the zone pulled there. We've got Boneyard. I don't know if you remember Boneyard from Verdansk. I'm sure a lot of you will. It was based on the map Scrapyard, the multiplayer map Scrapyard. But we've got Boneyard here, and I think it would work quite well up to the top left of the construction site. I guess, or it could go vaguely near airport, but it wasn't really that near airport, I guess. It was over here, wasn't it? Right at the back on Verdansk. So I'm okay with it being up here in the corner. I think that was a very fun POI to play. It was different, running through all the different bits and sections of the planes. You could allow for different gunfights. Yeah, it was a nice POI to play. You could finesse through the different tunnels of the different planes, etc. There was different buildings to the side of it that you could play if the zone pulled that way. It was pretty fun. It was a good time. Yeah, again, if you go back and look at Verdansk, like I was saying in my previous video, the one thing I want to focus on is the fact that a lot of these POIs, obviously this map is in a grid form just so that you could call out is in G1 or whatever you want to fucking say. I've never said that in my life, by the way, but still, most of the POIs, if you actually look at them, they're in a square shape. And I think what we've got now, a lot of the POIs, there's only one POI in Urzikstan that is in the shape of a square. And I think the square POIs, like if you actually look at firing ranges in a block, or this whole block with Red Barn, etc., it is essentially a giant square. You see, even with the fields here, it works out as a big square. They play the best. The only one that is in Urzikstan, you don't know what you call these buildings, but I said it in the previous video, is shops or markets, or womb. I've heard it called sausage rolls. I've heard it called everything. The markets, or shops as I call them, is if you actually look at the map, the actual section with the buildings works out as a square. That is the best spot, in my opinion, in the whole map of Urzikstan. The rest of it can get the fuck. I don't like it. It's shit. It's boring. best POIs are always in squares. So if you look at this, that's why I've kept it into the grid. It works better in a square. So yeah, we've got firing range here. We've got super, we've got boneyard, and again that would be in a it's always it's in a square. Okay, all of them are in a square. It works better, I'm telling you. Anyway, going down from boneyard, we'll go down to the left hand side. We have give it a ray now. Give it a ray. Give it a ray. Give it a ray now. Array was also a previous multiplayer map. Most of Blackout ones were, I believe. Below that, we've got airport. I'm undecided on the tower. I feel like an airport needs to have the tower, but I goddamn hated that tower. Crossing that runway without a vehicle sucked. But grapples, it would be quite cool if you could grapple up it, or if we made it easier to access the top so that it was easier to deal with the campers, then I'm down with it. It could work. We've got the airport. That was a great drop, in Verdansk. Made for a lot of fun gameplay. I would leave that just to the side of Nuketown. We've got the airport here. Then you've also got cargo docks and a lighthouse there. I guess it kind of works. It's all kind of travel, I guess. In some way, that kind of works if you want to keep it as a theme of some kind. Hotel ferry, I don't know, off to the side of the... You get what I'm saying. Kind of like a resort side. So yes, we've got the airport. And then next to that, one of the most iconic drops again from Verdansk was hospital. There's some insane clips of hospital. I know at some point you've all dropped a hospital off the rip. You've gone for the heli and you've tried to get a couple of kills off the rip from every single person that's trying to splat onto those helis, because vehicles back then were amazing. Now we've got about 50 different ways to move around a map fast in a vehicle, and they all suck. So there we go. Hospital goes again just below firing range and to the left of fracking tower. I've added that into, there was a little selection of little buildings kind of similar to this. Nothing, it wasn't an actual POI. These are both kind of like dead spaces. They didn't have an actual name. They just had some little buildings similar to this. It has some little random houses. They're just little buildings here. It wasn't an actual POI. So I've not gone on any of the POIs here. We then kept fracking. Below fracking, we've got factory, and below the factory, we've got quarry, which I think at some point was called salt mines in Verdansk, but I can't remember exactly. Loads of loot here. Plays at the back of the map. It's slightly up a hill at the back as well, which this bit was. So it stays relevant within the actual map itself. And then to the side of that, we've got Ghost Town, as I said, was a previous zombie map that got added in later as well. And to the side of that, if we move along this way, we've got the military base. I feel like each one of the Warzone maps now has had some form of base. Even Urzikstan at the top has got like the legacy. Well, it's got actual military base, hasn't it? But there's also another one that's got the legacy fortress as well. So there's kind of two military bases at the top. What I mean by that is just to the side of 11 Resort at the top of the hill that looks down over Popov. There's a little mini base there as well. So it'd be good to have one in the Blackout map too. Then above that we've got Turbine, which, as I said before, I think is made from Terminal, the map from memory. Then we've got some wind turbines down here that you can make sick plays on. You could heli on top of them or grapple on top of them. And in front of that we've got Storage Town. Storage Town was an amazing part of Verdansk, and I actually really liked it when they put it in Caldera as well. Personally, I really enjoyed that. I think there was a lot of good plays. You had the swimming pool to the side of with the diving board, and you could sit on the building on the side. We could finesse in and around all the different lanes. It was a sweaty place to be. Plunder's Haven. I know there's some of you here that dropped your plunder kill record on storage. It was always a good laugh in Verdansk as well if you wanted to chill. And above that we've got Asylum. Now you're going to look at this picture and think you've got the whole Resurgence map. No, I do not. We've got Asylum, and I've got the prison of Resurgence next to it. The Alcatraz prison itself. I'm not looking at all these other buildings. They can all go. Just the prison next to the Asylum. I think that would be an awesome feature. It works because there was the cemetery here. Well, I think this is the cemetery. Then you could have Asylum's building here, the cemetery, and then the prison right next to that as well. That would be amazing. Please the Resurgence fans as well. And as we go up the hill here, at the very top of the hill, we've got the actual prison as well in the top right corner. I've not really thought about that in terms of two prisons, but it works. Fuck it, we'll stick it there. We've got the prison at the top. Imagine the snipes you could get from the top right from prison. You could have like 1,000 meter snipe to lighthouse or something sitting up top with a HDR. Imagine, it'd be insane. Just to the side and above the that was a mountain up here anyway. Didn't really get used apart from on zones. You might catch somebody rotating across the bridge of Hydra Dam. It'd be awesome. You'd make some cool plays. You'd probably not have the sweatier players would probably be dropping around here, so it might be more of a casual drop, and that's fine. We like casual drops. Like, I miss the time where I could land in, and again, I'm repeating stuff in the Jack Frags video, but I agree. A large part of the dance that was so good, and Blackout that was so good, one, you could hear people. The audio wasn't terrible. Blackouts was infinitely better. I could hear somebody a mile away have a conversation, and the TTK wasn't so rapid that I would die in an instant if I didn't concentrate. I could literally get shot at, carry on a conversation, heal up whilst I'm having the conversation, and then shit on the person. Yeah, like, casual side of things, that would work absolutely fine to the side. It would be fun. You could have conversations with your mates over there. You could chill, banter with your mates, like your IRL mates or your mates you stream with, or whoever it is you play with. You could drop to the side, have a good time. It would make an amazing end zone on the side of the cliff. You could make some amazing long snipes. Imagine RPG in a heli from there all the way down from Nuketown or some shit. Like, you get some insane clips. Above that, I did talk about this in the previous video as well. Peak was actually a good POI. It was just the fact that it was in the middle of the map that ruined the whole map. Geographically, it made sense. Somebody pointed out, Mozzie pointed it out in my comment section before, that volcanoes, normally resorts and capitals, etc., would be to the side of it because the volcano is normally in the middle of the island. That does make sense. However, in a game, there's only so much realism you can have. For the map, it ruined the whole map because everybody was constantly running up or down a hill, which sucked. This is a mountain at the top. Stick it up the top. It would work similarly to that. It would work fantastic up there. It's still a fun POI to play. It makes some great gunfights. Again, it would make a great end zone. Be awesome. It makes sense for it to be at the top of the hill. Above the Hydro Dam, as I said, there was a couple of office buildings here on the side. And these were just some houses. Again, similarly to this area, or this area is just some houses at the top. So we're not really missing anything. We've still got the estates houses at the top. We're not replacing anything from Blackout. That's all still there. We're just replacing where there's small buildings or trees and shrubbery, really, with some extra POIs. To the side of Hydro Dam, and above train station, which was an epic train station to fight at. Kind of a smaller version of the one in Verdansk. I didn't want to replace it. I did really like the train station in Verdansk. I would say it's probably better, but the train station in Blackout was great anyway, nonetheless. And in order to keep it nostalgic, we'll keep that one in. We've got a lot of Verdansk coming in here anyway, but we've got the Verdansk Stadium. Makes sense for that to be near a train station, and it also makes sense for it to be next to Capital, which we'll come to in a moment. A Capital Stadium, I guess. But yes, Stadium had some amazing fights, made some awkward camping spots up the top. You could run around on the roof of the stadium. You could play inside the stadium. Tons of different ways you could have action. Pause. There. A good time. I think when I think of Verdansk, I do still think about downtown, looking over stadium and trying to snipe people and whatever it may be, making plays. It was all action at stadium all the time. Moving on to, again, another Caldera feature here. I wasn't expecting to feature too many from other maps besides Verdansk, really, but I've allowed for 2, I believe. Yeah, 2, and then Resurgence, which has been in like every game, including Blackout, really. So that kind of still makes sense because that's where it originated from. Blackout, if you didn't know that, Warzone fans, it was called Alcatraz in Blackout. That's where it came from. So thank the God that is Blackout. But yes, Capital. Again, I talked about this in the previous video. I am of the opinion that Capital should have been the focal point of Caldera. It should have been in the middle, not down the bottom. Again, the geographical point I don't really care about because the game sucked because it was up and down a hill. Capital should have been in the middle. I don't think Peak should have swapped with Capital. I think Peak should have been where Runway was, just above Beachhead, and the runway should have been next to Resort, where Capital was, because that makes sense, a runway next to Resort, and Capital should have been in the middle, which makes sense. Leave it there. Capital next to the stadium, next to the train station, and off to the side of it, you've got the Superstore. Imagine the freaking map. There's still enough Blackout. There's still, imagine the color theme of Blackout. It doesn't even need to be this grayed out theme. It's all based on the saturated, well, it doesn't have to. It can be whatever you fucking want it to be. But in my view, this is obviously not real. But in my view, I'm picturing it all looking kind of like the colors of Blackout. I never once got bored of the Blackout map. Even with all the open space without the stuff I put in here, I never once got bored of it. It wasn't like the most realistic in terms of looking, but that's fine. Like, you get so bored looking at the same crap all the time because it's so grey and so dull unless you add 1,000 filters. I cannot stand the fact that so many people use colorblind filters even though they're not colorblind. That is literally the point of it. And they sit there and say, and I'm sorry because I know a lot of streamers that use it and I'm mates with them. That's fine, but fuck me, does it piss me off when they're telling me they're using colorblind settings when they're not colorblind. It's the first thing I say to them. Are you colorblind? Why are you using it then? It makes the colors look better. It's just, why have we got this many settings? Just give us a colorful map. Like, fuck, it would look so much better. Even Caldera had points. Like, if you look at the picture, it still looks kind of colorful in Capital, for example. But fuck me, we've had some grey ass looking boring maps. It needs to be fun to watch, and I'm sorry, and I understand that, like, not everybody's into streams, but streamers' opinions, as much as you want to say it, they are nowadays, not me, obviously I'm small time, but influence the opinions of people that play the game. If there wasn't so many streamers still playing COD, it would be completely and utterly fucking dead. Like, it would be dead. Whether you like it or lump it, it would be dead. The fact that we all sit here and say it sucks means it sucks. The amount of people that come out and still play, like, you see all these streamers that will occasionally play these random ass games all of a sudden when they're on massive sponsored streams. I'll give you a great example. If I could remember the name of it, would be fantastic. I'm sure it's called like Grey something. There was some like extraction shooter thing that came out not that long ago. Wasn't Delta Force? I'm sure it's called like Grey. Yeah, it's not Greybeard, but it's something like that. You know the one I'm on about. Somebody will put it in the comments section for me. Everybody's like, yeah, all the streamers like, it's the best game ever. And I had so many people coming into my chat going to be like, are you going to play this game? It's amazing. Oh, I love it. I sat there and said to every single one of them, you're literally all saying that because streamers are playing it right now, but they're all being paid to play it. Give it a week, none of them will play it. They'll all say it's crap. And what happened? 2 weeks later, nobody's saying it. They're all saying it's crap and all the streamers are back on COD. We do make an impact. Not, again, I'm not saying me specifically, but if streamers are sat there gassing up a game, and think how many gas up Blackout still, and Verdansk and all those things, if we're all sat there saying it's great, and we've got something that's enjoyable, it will stay enjoyable. It needs to be good to watch, is what I'm getting at. That map would be amazing. Imagine what you could do with this too. If you look at it in terms of like a COD Mobile-esque success story, where they've got all these old guns, why could we not do a season by they don't need to change the map at this point, so they can focus on other things. The map's fine. There's nothing more really you could add to that. Yes, granted, you could fill every single square with something, but then it gets ridiculous and then the map loses its flow. This would still keep its Blackout flow. You've still got the roads you can use, etc. You can add a few roads in here and there to the POIs that we've added. It still keeps its flow and still plays like the Blackout map that we all love, but yet it's still got this nostalgic feeling without it being overwhelming and without it being, we've just whacked it in there, in my opinion. Pause. But why, when we've got a map like this, could we not then focus on one season that's Blackout guns? And we all use Blackout guns for one season. Then the next season, to keep it fresh, we use Warzone 1 guns. And we use the Kilo, the MP5, the AMAX, all that for one season. Then the next season, we use all the guns that were originally in the Modern Warfare games. So we use an M40A3 as a sniper, Intervention from Modern Warfare 2, a Barrett 50 cal, you name it. UMP is our SMG. You get what I'm saying? An ACR AR, like it, Scar H. Then the next season, season 4, whatever, I don't even know what number I'm on. Season 4, we will use all the Blackout, the Black Ops guns from all the Black Ops games. We could use the FAMAS from Black Ops 1. You name it. You get what I'm going. Why can't we just focus on things like that that keep the game fresh? Blackout did not have SBMM. And I don't get what people say. You still ran into so many sweats on that game. So many. You would have gunfights with players that sucked. And you'd roll them. And it would give you that feeling of, wow, I'm amazing at the game. And then 2 seconds later, you'd have a 5-minute gunfight with some sweat. Because the TTK wasn't instant. You'd have a good skill gap fight. You could heal up, run off, you'd reach out, and all these things. You'd have a great gunfight. You could literally have a gunfight with somebody for 5-10 minutes in a game of Blackout. Where's that gone? Bro, I could literally, like, my nan could hop on the game and gun Biffle. That's how fast the TTK is. They could be laid down. My nan could be laid out there. shooting the gun and kill Biffle in a millisecond. It's insane. Where's that gone? That's not to say my nan would be cracked at COD. She wouldn't. It's just this game is designed for idiots nowadays. Bring back skill gap, but let the casuals enjoy it too. Why could we not? That sounds stupid, but if you think about it, everybody still loved that game because there was something for everyone. What I think that COD misses now is the fact that we're so constrained by SBMM that it's just unbearable. What I think should happen is we should have no SBMM whatsoever in a public match, but we have to have ranked as well. That's for the sweats. That has its own built-in SBMM system. But we bring ranked not just a trios. You have a solo and pub match and a solo ranked. We have a duo, duo pub, duo ranked, and they've all got separate leaderboards. That is not complicated. It doesn't take any real extra effort to do it. The map's already done. They don't have to make changes to that. They don't really have to worry about weapon balancing because they can change it every season. Then they don't need to worry about all the buffs, nerfs, etc. They can just prep that for the next time the Blackout guns come back in season 1 the following year. Why can't we just do that? That would be so much more fun. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on the map. Hopefully you like it. What changes would you make? Is there any POIs you'd add in? I feel like some people might say maybe downtown for Verdansk, but my thoughts were that construction site kind of plays similarly to that. There's only so many high buildings we could have, but you could probably make an argument for that. I don't really know any others. Al Mazrah can go away. That map sucked. Let me go drop in Sarif Bay with my mates. Hell no. Zarqawa Village, no. Like, it's just not happening. I'm sorry, it's not getting in. Couple of calderas, mostly Verdansk, and a shit ton of Blackout. Fuck me, that thing would slap. What a game. Also, sorry, side note. I mentioned it again in the previous game, but yes, microtransactions can be good and they can drive a game, but I still think they could do it better. I think they should follow an EA based system, i.e. there should just be standard operators, and instead of buying skins, you buy a top. You could buy like a Nike top, or I don't know, whatever brand, Adidas or whatever it may be brand. You can buy your own top. They get brand deals from each of those companies. They make more money. They get sponsorships from the brands. Win-win. You buy gloves. You buy a watch. You can buy a Rolex or a fucking Apple Watch or whatever it may be. You can buy it and personalize your own character. It could go crazy. They'd make way more money with stuff like that. Plus, it then allows you to be way more customizable in game. That sort of thing could be great for the game. Make it free to play. Give us a proper anti-cheat. Focus on actually making the game fun. Stop boring us. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Streaming daily on Kick. Make sure you're checking out the Kick link in the description. I'll be there all day, every day. I'll catch you there. Peace.